वेलकम टू आवर नेशन स्टेट डायलॉग सीरीज राष्ट्रीय संवाद श्रृंखला में आपका स्वागत है. 欢迎收看民族国家对话系列. I'm Dr. Geeta Kochar, moderator for today's discussion. Today it's our pleasure to have with us Professor Zhang Jiadong. He's a professor of international relations and doctoral supervisor at Fudan University and a researcher at the American Studies Center. He's also the director of the South Asia Research Center and director of the Institute of One Belt and One Road Strategy and International Security. His research focuses on China-US relations, China-India relations, the United States, as well as India and counter-terrorism. He's currently the Vice President of the China-South Asia Society and the Vice President of the Shanghai International Strategic Studies Association. So welcome to our show, Professor Zhang Jiadong. And I hope you had a good time, and I'm just taking your time from your busy schedule.
Thank you, Gita. I'm very glad for you to give me this chance to talk about China-India relationship. Thank you very much. I'd like to talk with you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's start with something which is very, very hot and very, very fresh. That is that we have started the special representative talks, and it's restarted after a long period of time. So how do you see it, and what progress do you expect from these talks? I mean, the first round has already happened with the 6 consensus, but what do you see as a future that will happen on the special representative talks?
So just Gita, just as you mentioned, between China and India, a very special mechanism, talking mechanism. We call it a special representative talk. So this talk is very important for China-India relationship, specifically for China-India's border issues. I think it's the highest highest level of talk about border issues between China and India. So this talk is mainly about policy issue, not about implementation issue. It's about the policy issue. I'd like to divide the China-India relationship into 3 levels. The first level is the highest level. It's about politics. It's something between China and India's national leaders, between Modi ji and Xi Jinping. This is the top level. The second level, we call it a special representative level. We call it a policy level. They're talking about the policy issue. The third level is between 2 countries, 2 governments, working class, working styles. They might talk about how to implement 2 countries policy. So this special representative talk is about the policy issue. So just based on latest talk, what happened in last year, I can find the latest round of talk is still mainly about border issue. They talk a lot about border issue and how to manage border situation and how to engage, how to communicate between 2 countries in border issues. But something special I also found from latest talk. 2 people, they talk not just the border issue. They also talk something beyond the border issue. They talk a lot about how to improve 2 countries' communication, for 2 countries, people-to-people exchange. So they talk much broader than the past. In the past, the special representative might talk about border issue, but the latest one happened in last year. They can talk much broader cooperation issue, much broader heart issue, not just a border issue. I think it's good. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see that you are looking at these special representative talks beyond just the border, issue that we have, and looking at a broader, kind of communication that the 2 countries definitely need in order to build the trust that they have, lost because of various issues. But one of the things that, as you mentioned, there are 3 levels. So there's this top level that is supposed to be very significant. And in the past, we have seen Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping had 2 very significant one-to-one meetings, which is one is the Wuhan summit and the Malipuram summit, right? So how do you see those meetings, and what is your opinion were the outcomes of those meetings? Even if, I mean, there are a lot of talks about, in India especially, that, those talks did not yield anything concrete. But how you, from the Chinese perspective, look at those meetings, and what do you see were the outcomes that can really be taken further now?
So Greta, just as you mentioned, actually between China and India, we once had a very important, very special diplomatic arrangements. And in China, we call it informal meeting or informal summit. So this kind of informal summit is very special for Chinese diplomacy, and the Chinese officials like to talk anything very formally, not just between two people, not informal. So it's very important. I think it's the only one from China side for this kind of special arrangement, just between Chinese president and India prime minister, and not any others currently. So it is very important. I think it's also a kind of innovative diplomatic attempt. So although it did not solve the real problems between China and India, but even this summit did not resolve some problem, but it is still very important because this kind of meeting, from my personal perspective, it's highlighted the importance and the uniqueness of China-India relationship, because we create a very important, very unique diplomatic meeting, diplomatic approach between our two countries. So I think this signal is very important for us to understand why between China and India, just between China and India, we have this kind of special diplomatic arrangements. So based on this, even we just have 2 rounds, in the future, I don't know if we will have a 3rd round or 4th round, we don't know. But I think at least from our side, from China's side, I think our Indian friends maybe also will agree with me. And we have some kind of new consensus currently, based on 2 rounds of talk, based on lots of interactions, engagements between our 2 countries. China-India relationship is very important, it's very complicated, and it deserves us to pay more attention. It's deserved for 2 countries to build a special, stable, independent, sustainable policy towards each other. I think it's very important for us to understand China and India relationship. So as long as China and India value each other, respect each other, I think that's still very hopeful for China and India can build a new kind of relationship between not just between 2 levels, it's also between 2 world powers. So it will be very important. In the past 10 years, both China and India had changed very much, I think. And 10 years ago, when Modi ji just become India prime minister, when Xi Jinping just become China's president, China was 2nd world economy already, biggest economy already. But at that time, India, I think, just was maybe rank 8 or 7 biggest economy. But today, China is still number 2. India is already number 5. In a few years, it's very possible for India become number 3 biggest economy. So China and India relationship become more balanced, I think, more important for both sides. And it's why I say, and the past 10 years, a lot of things, something bad, something good between our 2 countries happened. But both sides understand the situation. We are world power. We are biggest economy. We must manage our relationship well. not just for our two countries, it's also for the rest of the world, I think, very important. So both sides, I think, is also understand a new issue. Several years ago, I found that in China, in India, lots of people very like to talk about bigger powers rising, bigger powers, greatness, bigger power dreams. Many issues like this. Sometimes maybe in both sides, some people forget what's the main task for China and India. Even China and India are world power, bigger country with a big scale of population. But China and India are still developing economy. We are not a developed economy. For developing economy, as a developing country, both China and India, the biggest task, number one, top priority issue, is not to become world power, is to develop its economy. It is very important for us to understand what we should do in the future. So I think after 10 years, and specifically two countries have experienced COVID-19 and a lot of economic changes, I think more and more people, at least in China side, understand we should focus on economic issue, should not pay much more attention or focus on strategic issue. We should going back to economic issue. So I think it's also good news for China-India relationship. And in the future, maybe, I just said maybe, and I'd like to see a possible, a new China-India summit in the future. I think we must have this. Okay.
Yeah, but as we're talking today, I mean, there are tensions on the border. The de-escalation has not yet started. And so many issues are still there. And most of the narratives that we come around are talking about, the border problem can only be solved if there is a, will at the highest political level, which is basically, President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi has a certain kind of engagement and they are willing to resolve, then possibility a great breakthrough can come out. And we saw that in October, that the kind of special representative talks that we have today is also a result of their meeting. May not be a very formal thing, but of course their engagement. So what is your opinion in this regard, in the sense that any future of such meetings, if there is an in-depth discussion on the border problem between the two leaders, or if yes, I mean, what should be the basic orientation of those discussions so that we can really move away from just focusing on border problem and look at the larger engagement, because as of now that is supposed to be an obstacle. Yeah.
So I think and Gita and me, we also see and lots of changes in the past. So I also have a chance just to take aside with this kind of talk between two country leaders. So I want to say, China-India relationship, even for border issue, it's an issue between two countries. It's an issue between two civilizations, two great people. The top leader is very important, but the general situation between our two countries is much more important. So actually, in the beginning of Modi's first term, and in China's side, both sides I found, both sides national leaders, they have lots of very strong political willing to improve situation, even to solve border disputes. I know this, both sides. They really think, they really thought they can do something about this. Is why we can see lots of very unique diplomatic arrangements. For example, the first visits for Chinese President Xi Jinping to India, they have very special arrangements. he visited the hometown of Modi. This kind of arrangement is very unique for our side. Our side, we do not like this kind of personal arrangements, but it's very few cases for us to this kind of personal arrangements. And for Modi, the next year, for Modi's visit to China, he also visited Xi'an. President Xi Jinping's hometown. And Modi also visited our university, Fudan University, and where a new center is opening up. So we have lots of new arrangements, I think, both sides, from top leader and to scholars, and both sides think we should do something, and we can do something. We was very, very optimistic around 10 years ago. So I among them who are very optimistic. But why we did not solve our goal? We must understand this. So both countries, the leaders want to do, and both countries, lots of people like me, like you, we want to have a much better China-India relationship, but we failed. We must acknowledge this. So very, very, very important. So I think if some lessons for me to pass the 10 years to countries' interactions, I think the first issue, we must be very pragmatic. We should be optimistic, but we shouldn't build some very high level goals. We shouldn't. We must understand the situation. Border issue between two countries is relevant so big mass of land. It's very sensitive for both sides. It's very complicated. And relevant to lots of historical issue, lots of current issue. It's not an easy issue to solve today. So it's why, and Chinese side, from leader to scholar, and we think, including myself, I think today not a good time to talk how to solve issue. We just can talk how to manage the situation, how to manage our border peaceful, current, and we should make border as possible as peaceful and can provide a situation, environment, much better environments for our two countries, and to have a chance for mutual confidence building. Without peaceful border, there's no chance for China and India to build some mutual confidence, mutual trust, very important for us. So I do believe, even in the future, maybe China, India, top leader meets again. Border issue were among the list, but I don't think border issue will be the top priority, because this issue is unsolvable today. It's not necessary for top leader to talk so much. And the top leader, their work is not about talking about policy issue. I think they should talk about strategic issue. They should talk about political relationship, the general political relationship between China and India. I think in this case, Chinese perspective is very different from India perspective. I know Chinese perspective, we like to talk general issue, political relationship at first. Then we should have a chance to talk some pragmatic issue, some issue on the is our style. But lots of our Indian friends, including lots of Indian officials, you very like to talk about pragmatic issue, concrete issue first, then talking about general strategic issue, general political relationship between the two countries. This is a very different perspective. It is some problem, I think. So I think both sides should talk not just about the issue. We also talk what kind of approach we should have when we meet each other, when we talk each other. So very important. So anyway, I think, and if we want to solve border issue totally, As of course, we need top leader levels political willingness, but today it's not possible, I think. Today, we should focus on general issue, daily, and what's people-to-people exchange, economic issue, then based on this kind of relationship, based on a much better cultural relationship, economic relationship, even some possible cooperation in international arenas, in some global issues, then we can have a much better China-India relationship. Then we will have a strong mutual confidence, mutual trustness. Then we should have a chance to talk about the issue. Yeah, this is my personal view, I think. Yeah.
So one point that you made is very significant, and I also fully agree on that. Like, we had a lot of optimism when the Wuhan summit happened. We were looking at India-China relations as very, very friendly relations, and there would be a lot of cooperation and things like that. But over the period of time, especially after 2020, I mean, even the academicians have been talking about cooperation and understanding. There is a strong military perspective, which, especially in India, really believes a greater possibility of another standoff that might happen on the border. So, as academicians, I mean, I'm really not talking about you as a military, person who would be able to talk about the tactical issues and to tell me what exactly on the ground will happen. But as as academicians also, we give suggestions to the government in terms of the policy making. So, what would your argument for the possibility of another standoff, and then how to prepare to manage that? And are there some suggestions that we can give to the policymakers so that there are certain mechanisms that can be made to avoid another conflict which can really destroy the relations? We already have a mistrust that's acceptable. So what do you think on that? Yeah.
I think it's still very possible. But I don't know why in India side so much this kind of talk about new possible of standoff. So actually standoff in border is very possible. It's also very easy because both sides have very strong border control, border manager capability, and both sides have lots of military people that patrol every day, that monitor every day. So it's very easy, and that meets almost every day. It's very possible for new standoff. But I think it's not a problem. The real problem is actually we have lots of regulations. We have lots of MOUs and lots of meeting and very fruitful meeting, and all of this are designed to avoid or to reduce this kind of standoff, this kind of issue. And however, as we know, and during the implementation process, and the coordination and the cooperation between two sides are still required. If both sides there are very strong willingness to coordinate, to talk, and this kind of meets will be very easy to solve. If both sides do not have very strong willingness to cooperate, if they have very strong willingness to compete, very easy to happen standoff. And in past 5 years, we see lots of this kind of issue. So to the first, I don't know why currently in Indian side so much this kind of opinions. Frankly, in Chinese media, we do not have this kind of very strong opinion about new possible standoff. So, of course, you're right. Theoretically, it's very possible, and we must face this possibility, and very important for us. So I think the key question, what kind of mentality, what kind of principles for two sides to use when this kind of possibility happen? I think it's very important. So from our side, I think we are very clear. Generally, we do believe China, India, just generally, our top priority is not border, not not border disputes. Top priority should be other issue. So if in the future this kind of stuff will happen, I think I suggest our Indian friends must check self as first, then check China's behavior, I think, because I understand our side we are not much willingness to do any this kind of behavior, I think. So it is why I often like to say we need more and more people talk. Not everything decided by daily by Beijing. Lots of issues they handled by people on the ground. So more talk, more communication, it would help people on the ground to understand each other, understand each other's logic, understand each other's principle. So it would be very useful for us to build a stable and peaceful border area. So, okay.
Yeah, I mean, but you've been emphasizing on, India, China should look at the global issues and look at, the larger geopolitics that is happening. So let me just push you the last question in that terms about, Trump's 2.0, that's Trump's, regaining power in America. So how do you see, or, what is, in your opinion, the impact of Trump coming to power on US-China relations and US-India relations? And do you see that it will have any greater impact on how India and China bilaterally engage with each other in future?
So I think Trump comments Trump 2.0, and it's a very big challenge. It's also very big uncertainty for the world. And the big uncertainty for US is also big uncertainty for the rest of the world. But anyway, I think Trump 2.0 would have a much little impact on China-US relationship. Why? The reason is very simple. China-US relationship has been impacted around 8 years already. And, a new kind of China-US relationship has been established since Trump 4.0. And our relationship between China and the US has been changed, has been adapted into a new style for many years. Between for economic issue, for trade issue, for science and technology issue, for people-to-people issue, many issues has been changed. So based on this background, so I think China-US relationship and has been stable enough and strong enough in Trump 2 area. So the main problem not between China and the US. The main problem is between US and the Americans' alliance and the strategic partners. Because US relationship with its alliance with its strategic partners is yet to be impacted so much. But Trump want to change something. You can see what kind of people are going to US to meet Trump. It's mainly from their alliance. It's mainly from American strategic partners. So Canada, Mexico, and lots of European countries. So I think Trump will have very complicated influence on the world. Not very easy for us to make any, predicaments, because Trump is unpredictable. Maybe it's not easy for us to understand the situation. And for China-India relationship, I think we can find some possible negative impacts. We also can find some very positive possible impacts. For example, Trump means US is in change. US is in uncertainty. So for every country, when they design the relationship, when they design the policy toward the US, must be based on this new reality. US is in change, and many possibilities, I think, in the future. So it means China, India, our foreign policy must be more independent, must be more stable toward each other. So China-India relationship, I think, in the future, our policy towards each other should be mainly based on our bilateral relationships, not based on so much on our relationship with the US, with others. It's what I call, we need a new kind of China-India relationship. In the past, both sides, when they design their policy towards each other, they concern so much other countries. They concern so much third parties. It's some problem. And in the past, it may be necessary because in the past, the China-India relationship is not a relationship between both powers, but today is different. So I think Trump 2.0 would remind Beijing, would remind Delhi, we are power, we are big country, we must respect others, we must have independence, a stable policy toward each other. Anyway, I think Trump would also have some negative impacts on China-India relationship. I think it's mainly from Indian side. I found Indians medias. It's likely lots of Indian friends, officials, scholars. They may think Trump going back is a good issue for India. India would have more chance rather than more challenges. So maybe in Delhi, some people think India would have more leverage over China because Trump. I think some people in India maybe have this kind of idea. So this kind of idea would damage China-India relationship. So I don't think Trump 2.0 would be much better for India because these people are very different and it's very hard to predict. But I also can understand why our Indian friends maybe have this kind of image, this kind of thinking. But I do not think it's really good for India. I do not think it's really good for China-India relationship. So I think we need a stable relationship and not just for our two countries, it's also for this world. This world is in very big change, in very great transformation, and as a very ancient civilizations. And I think China, India, we have lots of issues must to do. We are not a small country, we are a big country. We must manage many issues. So I think we should look beyond Trump. We should look beyond the US. It doesn't mean US is not important. Not doesn't mean Trump not important. I just mean China and India were strong enough, were important enough, and our relationship is deserve a new style one, really relationship between all the powers. Okay.
That's a very positive, outlook onto how India and China has to, deal with each other in terms of major power relations. Maybe that's how you want to see that. And I hope, there's a lot of better understanding of cooperation that can be built in future. With that note, I just want to thank you and for taking your time out for our channel. It was really great pleasure to have you and, squeeze your time from busy schedule. Thank you, Professor Zhang Jiadong. And hope we continue our interactions because it was a short discussion. I can just go on and on for, longer discussions with you, but we have a time constraint. And thank you to our viewers. Please hit the like icon and subscribe to our channel for many more such interesting discussions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gita. Thank you for this chance. Thank you.